Hey, what's up, everybody? Are we a little late? Of course we are. It's part of our charm. So hit like, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications, and let's get after it. Hi, hello, and welcome to your favorite average to good podcast. Call it what you want. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside Charlie Davies and Tony Meola. And where is Charlie Davies? He's in the nicest studio I've ever seen. Chuck, it looks like you're trying to sell us real estate in an infomercial. How are you doing? Where are you?
Hi, Jim. I'm here live. I'm live here at Paramount Plus CBS Sports Studio in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
I absolutely love it.
This is an incredible setup. So I'm happy to be down here in Florida. We're doing our Golazo show down here because the studio in Stanford, Tones, is fully booked. But I'm not complaining. I like this. This is a nice little trip.
Yeah, it is nice. Big Tones, you don't look.
I told you. I told you so. I told you so.
I got my little studio at home. Chuck is like in 4K right now, and you look like you're in a hostage situation.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm up in Stanford. Charlie's 35 minutes from my house in Florida. I'm up here, 3-hour flight away from my house in the cold weather. I remind every time we walk through this time, I remind everyone, you do know we have a studio in Fort Lauderdale, right? I just want to let you know. See, now they know for sure.
Now you know. It's possible. It can happen. All right, let's get into the show. We got some news to get into. Americans abroad had some midweek performances. We got the Champions League knockout playoff first leg reactions. We got MLS play preview because the league starts this upcoming weekend. Then we're going to do some situational predictions that I want to do with the guys. Like, what would we do in certain situations? So we had roster projections. Or depth charts last show. So I thought we'd level it up a little bit and get a little bit more specific in the situations, put some pressure on these guys. But let's get into our Americans abroad midweek performance. We're starting with Weston McKennie. Started up top for Juventus in Istanbul against Galatasaray. Listen, he had an assist on the goal. I think that's the only thing we really need to talk about. He got a really good assist, dropped into midfield, nice little layoff to Coop Miners, and Coop Miners did the rest. Now, the final score is 5-2 in favor of Galatasaray. So Juve's got a lot of work to do in leg two. We'll see if they can pull that off. Folarin Balogun scored 2 goals for Monaco in their 3-2 loss to PSG. They're up 2-0 and then slowly got dismantled by a very good team in PSG. Ousmane Dembele actually got hurt in that one. Desiree Doué came on, and he ended up scoring 2 goals to make a big difference for PSG. So Monaco's got a lot of work to do in leg 2. Lake Tillman came off the bench in Bayer Leverkusen's 2-0 win versus Olympiacos. Alex Freeman came off the bench in Villarreal's 1-0 win versus Levante in La Liga. Christian Pulisic came off the bench in a 1-1 draw for AC Milan versus Como. They are just falling farther and farther back on the top of the table. I think 7 points now behind Inter. Big Tones, you're a resident Milan fan. Christian Pulisic's playing 1 game a week. They're not in Europe. They got what? I think they're out of Coppa Italia. I'm pretty sure they're out of Coppa Italia. Like, why is he not? Why are we resting him? He doesn't need to rest. He's only got 1 game a week.
I don't think we've been resting him. I think he's been injured. That's been the problem. Max Allegri said, in this game, he only had 15 minutes in him. I think he came in the 81st minute. I don't have it in front of me, but I remember looking up and seeing something like that. But it wasn't a lot, right, in the end. And he actually looked explosive and ready to go. But it's been something that's been lingering, man. Although the reports are saying that he's now just at the point where he needs to get game fit, right? So which leads me to believe that whatever it is that was lingering, there's been rumor of a hip, that it's healed now, and now he's got to get his fitness back. So that's been 2026 so far for Christian. Hopefully that gets better, and by the time we get to June, we're not talking about this.
Yeah, interesting times, Chuck, for Christian Pulisic. No goals, no assists so far in 2026. I know he has limited minutes, but he's not necessarily hitting the ground running starting off in the new year.
Jim, I'd also add that, did we really think Milan were going to challenge for the Scudetto this year? No. So if you told me ahead of the season that Allegri would come in there and they would finish second, that's a successful season. I know Milan, they always want to be winning the Scudetto. They want to be competing at the highest level, but they need much more investment in that squad. So I think from where they were last year to now, I'd say that's a successful season for Allegri. They still need to build. There's no doubt about that. And I think with Christian Pulisic, he's had to deal with these injury these ebbs and flows of being healthy, not being healthy. Realistically, guys, I honestly don't care until we're in April, May. For me, I want Christian healthy and fit when we're talking about the end of the season and he's performing well, and he's getting into a rhythm. We all know you go through the ups and downs of a season, and typically January, February, early March, it can be really difficult on a player, both mentally and physically. And so if you pick up little injuries here, it's okay if it ends up working out for you come the end of April into May, and then obviously this summer. So
I guess Maxi Allegri's doing us a favor by keeping this guy in bubble wrap.
Well, I don't think he's doing it. I think he's been injured.
I don't think it's purposeful. It's not. There's no
choice.
Malintent. You're not looking at Christian Pulisic and saying, "Oh, he's not good enough to be in the team," and he's being punished for whatever reason. This is simply he was not healthy enough to play. And if a coach is telling you, "Oh, he only has 15 minutes," it's not because he's only good for 15 minutes. It's whatever issue he's dealing with. He doesn't have the strength to go longer than 15 minutes, because then you're entering the realm of re-injury. So you need to condition whatever muscle or injury that he's had to get to a point where, okay, now we feel pretty good. He can play 60 minutes, he can play 75 minutes, but again, he needs to get sharp. So now Leao has kind of gone through the same thing at Milan right now, and Cuckoo has gone through the same thing. So there's a number of talented players, but none of them have all been healthy at the same time. And if Christian's fully fit, he's a starter in that team. There's not even a question in my mind.
Yeah, there's no question. I think it was 2 or 3 games ago. They were away at Bologna, maybe. He didn't even make the trip. I mean, he wasn't healthy enough to make the trip. So it's been whatever it's been has been lingering, Jim. And I think they've been forced into this. It's not a position where they don't want to play Christian, right? They need to play Christian. He's been their best player. They haven't been able to get him and Leao on the field the entire season. But good sign yesterday that he had some explosiveness when he came in the game. So he didn't look, whatever it is that's ailing him, it didn't look like it was affecting him. Now he just needs to get 90-minute fit.
Okay, let's just talk about Serie A overall, because they're somewhat struggling in Europe. Now, I know that there's a lot of Italian Calcio fans that are a little bit upset about this, because you had Bodo Glimt, by the way. Shout out to Bodo Glimt. That's the team that I focused on for my UEFA coaching course. They beat Inter Milan 3-1 at home in leg one. Obviously, Galatasaray beat Juventus 5-2. Atalanta didn't look great against Dortmund in leg one of their. And Napoli got knocked out in the group phase, which is kind of hard to do, especially when they have that much talent. Now, Italy are obviously on the precipice of not qualifying for their 3rd straight World Cup. So where do you go from here from a Serie A perspective? Because there's coefficients in place. You want obviously as many of your teams in Champions League as possible, and they have to be performing in Europe to make that happen. Tones, I'm going to go back to you as a kind of our Milan fan. Obviously, Chuck and I follow it quite closely too.
Yeah, it's not been good, right? Champions League has not been good. And even going down to match day 8, you mentioned Napoli gets knocked out. Remember, Atalanta was in a position, right, to finish in the top 8. They get knocked out of that on match day 8 as well. They were the best performing team. And then you fast forward to this week. The Dortmund result, I'm not so surprised. At the yellow wall, wasn't going to be easy. 2-0 still, they got to go to Bergamo, so that's still doable. The Juventus one, I think, is the scary one, right? Because the last goal that was scored, Bowie scored that last goal. Galatasaray ran all over them. Now, they were a man down for a little bit in that second half, but coming back from 3 goals is scary. The Bodo Glimt one, the saving grace is that Bodo Glimt has won one. They've won one of their last 11 away European matches. At home, they're outstanding. Now, 2-1 and 3-1, we know, are 2 different deficits to come back. If you're Bodo and you go to San Siro, where were they recently? They beat Man City at home, right? But where were they at the Metropolitano?
Yeah, they beat Atletico Madrid 2-1 in Madrid.
Yeah, so it's not as if they're scared to go on the road, but that's their only win in the last 11.
Yeah,
which obviously helped them get through. Get through to this round. So
I will add though, Tones.
Yeah.
I will add to that in terms of what we've been seeing Bodo Glimt for, the start. I mean, we were covering them a couple of years ago and just seeing their growth in the way that they play. So we knew from a stylistic standpoint that they played beautiful football and that they could
100%.
beat anyone at home for sure. But I think what gives them confidence is a few seasons ago, it was last year. They played Lazio in Italy and they lost 3-1, but they played incredibly well, but they went through on pens. So I know Lazio's doesn't have the same quality as Inter Milan, but to give a group that type of experience, knowing, hey, we have a great lead, this is what worked well for us. Now we're going to Milan. We showed we can play with them. We have the quality. I wouldn't be surprised if this went into extra time as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one. I'm excited about
Jim,
it.
I just wouldn't have thought that in this stage with 3 teams left that you're going to leg 2. You got 2 teams down by 2 goals and you got 1 team down by 3 goals.
Which team is most outside of this Inter Milan who probably stand the best chance to overturn the leg? Who do you think has a better opportunity, Atalanta or Juve?
Oh, man.
I'd say Atalanta. They got to score early, though. If you're down by 2 goals, you get that first one back right away. Then all of a sudden, it's game on. Juve's got a lot of work to do, and I feel like Galatasaray can hurt them more on the counter. Not to say that Guirassy for Dortmund can't. I know this is not a Champions League show, but we're just getting into it here. Listen, here's really where I wanted to go. And Chuck, I'm going to come to you first because Juve are currently out of the top 4 in Serie A. They're in 5th, 1 point behind Roma. And if they don't get top 4, and then the coefficient doesn't go their way, and let's say Serie A only gets 3 teams, maybe 4 teams, but they're still outside of that. Does that impact Weston McKennie's decision to whether he wants to stay at Juve or not if they're not in the Champions League next year? Because that's kind of where I wanted to go as it pertains to one of our American players.
That comes on the individual. So the perspective of Weston is, how much do you love Juve? How much do you love the community? How much do you love living in Italy? That's what it comes down to. It's not so much, do I want to stay in Champions League? Juve is a high-profile club, so it comes down to his ambition. If you told me he's going to extend now or the next month, I would say, fantastic. Why wouldn't you? You're happy. Your values being seen. You're obviously, they want to reward you handsomely, and they're not going to extend his contract for a number that doesn't make sense for him. Right. So for both him and the club, if they're going to extend Weston, that means they're not going to give him that type of salary to not play him. Like he's trusted. He's finally broken that barrier. But if you told me, hey, he's thinking about what next season looks like if they're not in Champions League, that means Weston's still trying to push the boundaries and see how far he can go, which then means, okay, he's thinking about the clubs that are interested in him. There have already been rumors, Atletico Madrid, which I think would be a fantastic landing spot. And then, Inter Milan has also been rumored about liking Weston McKennie and seeing what he can do. So now you're starting to say, okay, what are my possibilities to continue to grow and play in Champions League at the highest level, and also to kind of fulfill my potential, because there clearly is still room left for him to grow. He's playing in a new position, higher up the field, almost a second striker. In this case, he started a Champions League knockout phase game as a striker and got an assist, and a fantastic assist. So, I mean, right now, Weston is sitting on cloud 9, and there's no rush for him to make a decision, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to wait and see. Tones, what would you do? Like if you were in Weston's shoes, just right now at this moment, not looking like you're going to be in the Champions League next year.
You always want to play in Champions League, right? That's what all these guys talk about all the time, but you're in a really good situation. If you now stay and Spalletti does stay, and you got a manager who is going to back you, it seems like 100%, which, as we know, has not been the case at Juventus, right, for him. So it's kind of how I feel about Christian. Now, I think they're obviously going to qualify for Champions League now, Milan. So that checks that box off, if you will. But he's in a really good spot. I know there's rumors for Christian, right? We talked about him this morning on Morning Footy. There's been rumors the entire season.
You're
But
doing your job. You're doing your job. If you're having rumors, you're doing your job. That's what I see. If you're talking about Manchester United, we're talking about Arsenal, some of the Tottenham, these Premier League clubs. If they're interested in bringing you back to the Premier League, that means you've done your job in helping Milan and providing, scoring opportunities. And for me, yeah, like you said, Tone, it's either I'm happy in this situation and I want to continue to see it play out in Milan, or, I'm ready for that Premier League challenge again and being counted on.
Yeah, I still think with Juve, Jim. Sorry, I still think that Italy's going to get 4 spots. I still think they're going to qualify over Roma, although Roma's had a few good games. So they're only they're a point. I'm looking at the table here. They're a point behind right now, and they're 4 points behind Napoli, who's making once they get guys healthy, they'll make another little run. I actually think they have a chance of finishing ahead of Milan. Napoli does, but they got to get healthy. But that's a tough decision. I don't know what I would do. Champions League is still a lure for guys that play in Europe.
Yeah, Juventus actually, even despite a slow start and firing their original manager that started the season, Igor Tudor, who's now at Tottenham. Crazy story there. They got 25 games played so far in Serie A, 13 wins, 7 draws, 5 losses. They have a plus 20 goal difference. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. It might feel that way at times, but and I know it's all about running form and how you're doing, but I do think that Juve could catch Roma. They're going to play against each other on March 1st. So plenty of action, plenty of games left to go. Both have 13 games left in the season. All right, we're going to take our first break of Call It What You Want. When we come back, we're going to get into those situational predictions. I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, I got to ask the guys. They had me put my coaching hat on recently. I'm going to ask them to put theirs on, and then we're going to get into it. I can't wait to hear what everybody has to say. Keep it right here.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more.
It's Gareth Bale! Ronaldo! Wonderful goal!
On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
Welcome back into the show. I'm Conrad Dino alongside Chuck Chase and Chuck and Big Tones. And Chuck, I just can't get enough of 4K Chuck. He looks fantastic. Just selling me.
It feels good. Honestly, it makes me think about what's possible for our show.
Yeah.
Think this summer. We got a
Fort
big
Lauderdale.
Oh, baby.
Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, 30 minutes away from Big Tones' house.
Oh, Charlie, stop talking, please.
We could also do this in Connecticut. I'm just saying. We could also do this in New York. Just saying.
Just saying. All right, let's get into our striker of the week. Actually, we have a bunch of strikers. 3 strikers, 4 days, 6 goals between them. We're not even including Weston McKennie's false 9 appearance there against Galatasaray. It is our striker of the week. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, Golasso America YouTube channel, you'll see an amazing graphic. I'm just thrilled to hold the trophy. Big Tone's making a great save on Charlie's shot, and Pochettino giving us the number 1 finger, which is awesome.
He's just getting a fingertip to it. It's still going in the top corner.
All I know is you're running by Jimmy right now. You're running by Jimmy.
Well, I got the trophy, so I don't know what I won, but I'm gonna take it. So yes, obviously a lot of goals. Ajiman, Haji Wright, Folarin, Balogun got a brace. We got to talk about Balogun's brace against PSG, the reigning Champions League champions. He's the first American to score 2 goals in a knockout stage match against PSG. He's the most goals by an American in one Champions League campaign. He broke that record that he had worth sharing with Christian Pulisic. His first goal in the game against PSG was scored at 55 seconds. That's the earliest goal by an American in Champions League history. He's also the first American to score in 3 consecutive Champions League games in this campaign as well. Breaking records all over the place. What sucks for him and Monaco overall is they ended up losing that game 3-2, and they got a lot of work going back to Paris for leg 2. I bring all this up because for me, and we've talked about this before, Balogun is the clear number 1. Okay, I think we all have agreed that Ricardo Pepi's number 2, and then it's Ajiman and Haji Wright kind of battling it out for number 3. So I assume, but let's say we're tied 0. So this is the situational predictions that I want to get from you guys. And Chuck, you're our resident striker, so coming to you first. Paraguay, first game of the World Cup. It's 0-0 after the 65th minute. What are you doing? We got to win that first game.
100%, 1. But 2, you can't just go into it blind like that because there are so many facets to the game.
Here we go.
How no.
Put your coaching hat on.
Yeah, you can't just say, "Hey, it's blind. Here you go. Make a decision." Who are getting touches? Where are we getting? What parts of the attacking third are we getting into? How involved is Balogun? How many touches has he had? How many shots has he had? How many 1-2 opportunities? How many runs has he made? How involved is he in the pressing? Does he look sharp? Does he still have a lot of energy? So all of those go into it. Now, if you're telling me Balogun looks good, he's getting in dangerous areas, I'm not taking him off. I'm not subbing him off.
Yeah, but so do you bring a second striker on? I'm not saying you have to take him off, but do you bring a second
striker on?
What are we
trying to do? We're going for a win in game 1, 65th minute?
For me, you got to win that first game. Okay. I mean, you don't want to.
Yeah, but
you want to expose
Jimmy,
yourself so you lose either.
Yeah, you don't throw the kitchen sink at the first game if just to say, oh, we're going to do whatever we can to win because it's all or nothing. Because at the end of the day, that could come back to haunt you and play right into what Paraguay have done the entire time in CONMEBOL qualifying. So if we're talking about making the right decisions based on who's playing well, you have to see how well has, is it Tillman or is it McKennie? Is Dest on the pitch? Is it Weah? I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, that's the reason we're not scoring because Balogun's playing. Maybe maybe it's the right wing back. Maybe we need to get West on, Weah on or Dest on. Maybe it's we're taking off one of the sixes. If it's just Tyler Adams playing, who's that next person next to him? Is it McKennie there? Do you drop Tillman down, who's played there, who can take shots from distance? So there are other wrinkles that you can throw in to maybe get the most out of Balogun in that instance. Now, if you're getting to the 70th minute, 73rd, 75th, and you're seeing, okay, not much has changed, that's when you're saying, okay, we're bringing on Ricardo Pepi, who's accustomed to scoring that goal, who's used to playing against teams that are bunkered down because PSV dominate Holland. And by the way, he's shown he's capable of playing at a high level in Champions League when he's come in and has changed the game. So for me, it's much more complicated than just saying, hey, it's 0-0 in the 65th minute. What are you doing?
I feel like, Tones, let's pretend that Chuck isn't here. I feel like he's on the precipice of getting triggered. We haven't really triggered Chuck in a while. So I feel like he's really close right now.
So in doing that, were you suggesting 65th minute, like we go to 2 strikers? Is that what you're saying? Is that the question?
I kind of just threw it out there. I didn't realize I needed to be specific, as specific.
I didn't know if you wanted to.
Balogun's had 9 touches in 45 minutes. Do we take? I mean, yes, I ultimately agree with Chuck, but I just didn't know if because of the urgency that I think we have to have in game 1, and obviously we don't want to give up a goal in transition going the other way because we take off a quote unquote defensive player to put on someone more attacking. My question is like, man, would you, and I agree with you, Chuck, it is situational, but is there a second striker that comes in or do we go find that space somewhere else? Or maybe, Tillman's not firing.
Remember, we've seen them, Jimmy, we've already seen them play. We know how they play. We have a good sense. Of course, it gets elevated exponentially when you're talking about a World Cup.
Yeah.
But right. we know who they are. They know who we are. We don't need to go all of a sudden and change the system and throw 2 strikers up there to all of a sudden, generate chances. I think that's panic. If you're saying, hey, they're a man down and we're down a goal, that's when you start to say, hey, maybe new system. Let's throw on, Pepi. Maybe we're throwing on Pepi and Ajiman or Haji Wright. We're completely changing the system because we're desperate. That's desperation mode. I don't think that would call for desperation mode.
Yeah. I guess I just wanted to kind of work through some situations with you guys. Yeah, we could get into down a goal. We're tied 0-0 in the opening game, and the crowd is like urging us on. Everybody wants to find that goal. Like, I guess when you look at it on paper, is it a second striker option, or are we bringing in somebody else in midfield? Like you take off, like let's say a Tessman starts the game next to Tyler. It's a little bit more defensive. You take Tessman off and you bring on X, right? Maybe it's Tillman, and because Weston and Christian started. I guess I wanted to kind of explore those situational things with you guys given what we know now. So Tones, go ahead.
Yeah, I would think that if you just want to focus on the forwards for now, a couple things that maybe consider, like, are we getting, is it a game where we're having success in the middle of the field, or is everything wide? So if it's wide and balls are being pumped in the box, Is Flo Balogun your guy after 65 minutes? Is he the guy you want doing that, or do you want to bring in Pepe or Ajiman, who's and Haji Wright, who do a better job in the air maybe than he does, right? Like things like that. I would think though, in the 65th minute at home in a World Cup, and just exactly what you talked about, energy from the fans, urging you to get forward a little bit more. Like that's when you'd be like, okay, the other team should be in trouble right now, right? Paraguay should be the ones going, oh, look what we're dealing with now, right? Like they should be the ones having to make changes. I'm hoping it's not us that are in a mode where things just aren't clicking and it doesn't look good. I would think that's if we have one advantage, right, of being home in the World Cup, that's the advantage right there. Like the scenario that you laid out could be exactly what they face and what is the thing we think is going to get them over the top.
I mean, what we did learn from that Paraguay game, Chuck, is that they hit us on the counter, right? We didn't get decent pressure on the ball. All of a sudden, bang, 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 and it's in the back of the net. I assume Paraguay is going to look to do something similar and not get stretched and maybe be even more compact. And as you mentioned, it's going to be exponentially harder and different and when the World Cup comes around as opposed to a friendly. But I think we've seen enough of Paraguay and knowing their personnel that that's what they're going to look to do. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a 0-0 after 65, 70 minutes, unless we can hopefully get something early, because the sooner we can get the crowd into the game. I know we'll have plenty of time to talk about this in the run-up to it as it gets closer, but I just thought.
Yeah, I think what you were trying to get.
I like this conversation.
Yeah, Jim, I think what you were trying to get at, and Tones, correct me if I'm wrong, is in different scenarios, you have Balogun, who's the number one striker, and typically strikers will get subbed around the 65th, 70th minute. You have Pepe, who's an option, and a lethal option, a very straightforward north-south type of player. You know what you get from. But Haji Wright and Patrick Ajiman are basically in the same bucket, and it's literally preference because they would be asked to do the same type of thing. I think they are around the same in terms of their runs off the ball, finishing. I'd say Haji Wright maybe is a little bit better of a finisher in terms of just quality finishing. And then in the air, we would have said, man, Patrick Ajiman with his size, you would expect him to be a lot more dominant. And I think he's turned the corner in the way that he's rising to meet the ball and his anticipation and his timing in the box. And Haji Wright, you'd say, maybe not as dominant in the air as he could be and should be, but I think Haji Wright is starting to play much better in the air. I mean, he hits the post in this last game against Middlesbrough. And by the way, scoring a hat trick against the team that you're battling with for the top spot in the championship, the biggest game of the season, that holds a lot of weight. On top of him scoring already a brace against a team that we're playing in the World Cup in Australia. So you're also taking in all that information. Plus, he has World Cup experience. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Patrick Ajiman because he was raw as a striker coming into the professional game. So much to develop, so much to grow and learn, and he's taking the right steps. And look at how he's a late bloomer. He's still developing and having a lot of success in his first season in the championship. So there's a lot left for him to achieve and a lot more ability for him to grow into. But I think when we're talking about, hey, one or the other, Pochettino has a real difficult proposition. If they both continue to thrive and score, it's literally going to come down to what do you prefer? Who do you prefer more in terms of not so much what they do on the pitch, but maybe off the pitch, or how they carry themselves, how do they help the group? So it might be the other intangibles outside of what they actually do on the pitch.
Yeah, getting a lot of love for Haji in the comments right now. So correct me if I'm wrong, you two or our producers or anybody in the chat as well. Since we switched to a back 3/fluid 4 with our wing backs, have we been down a goal in any game? And if so,
that's a good question.
And if we haven't, I guess.
No, we have not. We have not. Think about it.
No,
we've been on an incredible run. We have not been down a goal.
So let's play that game then. Tones, I'll start with you. What adjustments do you think? Say we're down 1-0. after 65, 70 minutes.
Were we down to Ecuador? Were we down 1-0?
I don't know if we had switched yet for the Ecuador game. Had we?
Yeah, because it's after Japan game. So it was the Ecuador game. I think we were down in Ecuador first, and Balogun scored, right? Hold on. I'm just looking. I'm looking.
I guess we scored.
Did we score first? Nope. Yes, they did score first. We were one
because we scored first against Paraguay. We scored first against
Valencia scored, right? Yeah, and Balogun. That's so right, we were down one game. Yeah.
Okay, good. So I just wanted to think, okay, if we're down 1-0, we were down 1-0 after 70 minutes, and Balogun scored in the 71st. What kind of adjustments I think can we expect to see? And obviously, at that point, we had just kind of worked our way into that. I just love this and maybe because, we talk coaching all the time, especially off camera, what kind of adjustments or who would get sacrificed in some ways to make sure we could kind of elevate our performances. Obviously, this is up to Pochettino and his staff to kind of go through all these different permutations about what could happen and how we're going to adjust so that we're as calm as possible when these situations arise, because you need to be as emotionally steady as possible when you're playing in the middle of a World Cup and you got to solve problems. And you know this better than anybody, Big Tones.
Yeah, I think that the less amount of time you spend changing your formation that you've been working on now, the better off you're going to be, right? Of course, every team in the world, if you got to go to an extra striker, especially when you get to the knockout, you got to go with one more striker. Then you got to, obviously, something changes behind you, right? Something, if you're going to put two in, something behind all of that has to be changed. In our case, I would imagine the only thing that flips, if you want to, it's sort of the path to least resistance, right? You put two forwards and you put one underneath, right? So you still have a combination of three instead of two underneath and one forward. I would think that's the easiest change because we've been talking, right? Where has the success sort of come from in this system? It's been that we've got those wide players to play in those areas, right? So you don't want to take the ability of those guys to get forward. There's other ways to do it too. That just seems to me like the easiest one. And even if you just wanted to translate it on the fly, right? Hey, we haven't worked on this, but we're really desperate right now. I'm assuming they're going to work on all of it. I'm just making the point. Okay, we haven't had a lot of time doing this, but hey, let's see. And by the way, you would expect something in March from Pochettino that looks like a different wrinkle, right? Because this is the last time before he's really going to pick his last group of players. We might see something, and even if you're not losing, right? Or you may be losing in these games, right? Obviously, big games coming up, and good possibility you could be down. So it's a good opportunity to go, okay, we have this idea if we're losing, just exactly what you're talking about. 65th minute in a knockout game in this, round of 16. We're going to try this we shouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of that sort of wrinkle coming up here in March.
Okay. So we were also down in the Australia game. So of the 5 games of this quote unquote new formation, we were down in 2 of them. 40% of the games Australia scored on off of a throw in. Ultimately, that's where it started. And that always grinds my gears. If I got some pet peeves, it's giving up goals off of set pieces, like those types of set pieces where you could have easily managed that with maybe some better communication. So 2 out of the 5, we come back in that one. Of course, Haji Wright scored in the 33rd and 51st minute to turn that one around against the Socceroos. Hopefully that continues in the World Cup. Now, Chuck, Tones brings up a good point about we've created some width in a different way, right? We're getting our wing backs more involved, higher up the field. That allows Christian and Tillman and or Weston and or Gio or whoever is up there, right, in those 10 spots, the top of the square, to really have some good spacing in terms of combination play and different channels that they can run into and wing progressions and so on and so forth. Now, what I thought, let's go back to 2022 knockout round against the Dutch. They basically made sure we had no success out wide and tried to force and funnel everything through the middle. And we just struggled with kind of adapting like, oh man, our plan A isn't working. What now? In our plan B, we just couldn't get there fast enough or couldn't execute at the highest level to make that happen. And then the Dutch ran away with that game. I'm very, very, I say concerned. I'm very interested is the right word to find out how quickly we can go from plan A to plan B. And I feel like this new formation, air quotes, allows us to find those different or solve problems in a little bit of a more fluid way than maybe we had in the past.
Yeah, I think when you look at this formation now, what I love about it is the flexibility of the underlap. So you can create width by having whether it's the right center back, if that's Alex Freeman, who's so accustomed to playing in that right wing back spot or right back spot, of course, Tony brought up a good point. There are times where he's going to be in those uncomfortable positions as a center back when you're not a center back. If you're forced to kind of provide the cover as a center back, it can be a little difficult. But what we saw with Timothy Weah and Anthony Robinson, the relationship that they had of both understanding when to come inside and make those vertical runs to still create width, because it's eventually going to be there if you have the pace and the understanding and the timing. So for me, I'm good. We don't have to change the formation. As long as guys understand roles and responsibilities and movements, and I think that allows us to be a little bit more unpredictable, to be honest. I think the reason why people got frustrated with Berhalter, among many things, was it became so predictable. You knew how players were going to move. You knew certain spaces that guys were going to be in, and it was very rigid. Mm-hmm. At least that's what it looked like. Whether he intended that to be the option, the way it went down or not, but in the end, it got too predictable and it was stale. And now all of a sudden, it feels like, hey, guys are a little bit more flexible and loose, and Pochettino's like, hey, just play free. But here's the idea, mm-hmm. especially defensively. This is how I want us to be, but in the attacking phase of play, be free. Although, make sure that we're there if things break down. So I think that's why we're starting to move in the right direction, because that needed to happen to unlock what this squad can do.
Yeah, I feel like the best coaches, the ones that we've been around, set up some really clear parameters of how it should look and feel on both sides of the ball, and then allow you to be yourself within that, individually and then collectively as a group. And I feel like we've seen really positive signs of that from Mauricio Pochettino over the last couple friendlies. So we'll see how it looks in March. All right, we're going to take our last break of the show. When we come back, we're going to get into some CONCACAF Champions Cup news and some predictions about MLS, our Golden Boot winner, MVP, probably Messi, and all the other fun stuff. So, keep it right here. Gloss America YouTube channel.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount+.
Hey, let's go for the stretch run here of Call It What You Want. A lot of average to goodness coming your way. Let's get into some CONCACAF Champions Cup results. We got some notable first leg results here and matches. National SC going to Ottawa to get into the 2-0 win. LAFC dunking on Real España 6-1. Philadelphia Union beating Defense Force 5-0. Ezekiel Alado getting 2 goals in that one, and he's their new signing, so we'll see how he does, replacing Ty Baribo. Then you have FC Cincinnati beating O&M 4-0. Vancouver 0-0 away from home against Cartagines. And then LA Galaxy, the last one to play here. They're going down to Panama to take on Sporting San Miguelito. That game is happening tonight. 8 p.m. Eastern is the kickoff. All right, so that's the CONCACAF Champions Cup. We want to get into some MLS predictions, but before we do, we had a little sound from New York Red Bulls' new signing, Cade Cowell. Let's hear what he had to say.
Looking at New York Red Bulls, I'm sure you watched them last year. Where do you think they could improve for this year?
Yeah, I feel like, with the new coach coming in, Michael Bradley, we're going to have, I think, we're going to go to 4-3-3, so we're going to have wingers, and I think that'll help a lot, I hope to receive a lot of through balls from Forsberg in his face.
He's a top player.
Yeah, exactly. And all I'm going to do is just cross the ball to Choupo-Moting. So he can do what he does, So
he's
it'll be great.
Yeah, he's a good finisher. So in every time we have a guest on CBS, we have asked this traditional question: your favorite jersey swap so far in your career?
Ooh, that's a good one. I was very close to getting Sergio Ramos's, which is one of my favorite players growing up. I didn't. Chicharito got his.
Of course.
Yeah, I know. I was pretty bummed about that one. But yeah, favorite one, I would say, for now I'll go with my brother.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't play against each other, but we still got a moment to do it. So that's for now.
And you still have the future. You have this year to get some big ones.
Exactly. So looking forward to it.
All right, there's a special correspondent, Charlie Davies, doing work with Cade Cowell.
He does it all. He does
it all. He's everywhere. He's selling real estate and doing infomercials.
Hey, I'm a contributor. What can I say?
You are.
You know?
You absolutely are. Okay. All right. It's time with the 2026 MLS season around the corner, which is this weekend. The three of us are basically putting our reputations at stake because these takes are being recorded. So we're going to have receipts. Everybody can hold us accountable for anything that we say. But we're going to get into it here. From MLS Cup winners to breakout players, we're calling it right now. No fence sitting. We're going to get into it. Let's go to MLS Cup winner. Tones, coming to you first. Who's winning MLS Cup in 2026 before we switch to a European calendar? What do you got?
I went with Inter Miami.
Oh, I've heard of them before.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Third year in the league. No. Yeah, look,
why in the world would you pick them, Tones?
Yeah. I don't know. How long do we have? Yeah, I went with Inter Miami.
Yeah, so I did as well. I mean, they won it last year, and I feel like they got better and a little bit younger. And with all due respect to Busquets and Jordi Alba, those guys would get a little bit on the other, long in the tooth, as they say. And I just feel like, they're making some great signings and
who's
Inter Miami's my MLS Cup winner as well. What about you, Chuck?
I was gonna say, who's the desk job image next to Tony on the left?
Well, you know what I was just thinking?
I'm really
someone
serious.
Was tasked with finding. Someone said, "Can you go find the 3 worst pictures you could find of our 3 hosts?" Let's just put them all in there right now.
I love it.
Jimmy, I don't know if I can't get over this photo of you.
I know. I
can't get over that photo, but I had Inter Miami. But is that serious?
It is. It is serious.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know where that came from, but I look like I should be maybe a student somewhere. I don't know. I don't know where I should, or working at an Office Depot. That may be.
I can't see. Is that a San Jose jersey on?
No, it's a Kansas City Wizards.
Oh yeah.
I feel like you're serving ice cream. You know.
Hey, you know what? I played an MLS 1.0. We all needed to have a side hustle. Okay, sometimes it's scooping ice cream. You got to do what you got to do. Runner up. I've got LAFC as my runner up. I think that they made some good signings as well. I'm curious. Marc Dos Santos goes from being an assistant coach where you kind of buddy with the players to being the head guy. Sometimes that can be a difficult transition, but it feels more of the same ultimately. And I know he got the vote of confidence from both Bouanga and Heung-min Son to stay on and be the guy moving forward. But I really feel like they're going to have a nice run. I'll skip ahead of it. I think they'll be my Supporters Shield winners as well, LAFC. Inter Miami, clearly, Jorge Mas, the Mas brothers have come out and said they want to win Concacaf Champions Cup. They want to win every trophy imaginable, and that's just going to take its toll. So I don't think they're going to be Supporters Shield winners, Inter Miami. I think that'll be LAFC. But Tone's coming to you. What do you got? Runners up and Supporters Shield.
My runners up, I went LAFC.
Man.
And my Supporter Shield, I went the other way. I went Inter Miami, and I know we're getting yelled out for doing 2 categories, but you asked me to. You're hosting,
I did.
so
I did. It's my fault.
You.
I'll own it. I'll take accountability. Yeah. Wait, Supporter Shield was what? I missed that one. What'd you say?
Inter Miami. Sorry.
Oh, you went Inter. Okay.
Yeah.
Chuck, what do you got?
Yeah. So runners up, LAFC. I'm with you though. Marc Dos Santos has all the pressure on him because he was unsuccessful in Vancouver. So, they decided to go with someone in-house and Marc Dos Santos as an assistant over like an Ante Razov. I think that was probably the decision between those two who's going to be getting that opportunity. And it's one thing to be the assistant. It's another thing to run the team. So it'll be interesting to see. But I love the additions that they made as well. Eustachio, I think their midfield needed to kind of be enhanced so they can stop just relying on the counterattack and in transition moments and keep possession. So I think that's a big acquisition for them. And Supporters Shield is Inter Miami.
Okay. All right. I love that. Now MVP. I mean, I know it's named the Landon Donovan MVP award, but I'm sure it'll switch to Lionel Messi MVP award at some point.
Does anyone have
You can't switch that.
Other than Messi?
No way you can switch
I know you can't switch. I'm just kidding. You never know.
That.
For marketing purposes, they might want to. But I mean, there was only one 2-time MLS MVP award winner prior to last season. That was Preki. And Messi now is the second player.
But never back to back.
but never back to back. And now I assume he's going to be back to back to back, which will never be matched. So that's why they probably switch.
Wrap it up.
All right. So
yeah, hold on. You picked who for MVP?
I got Messi as MVP.
Yeah, I picked Son as the MVP.
Ooh.
Yeah. Son.
You don't think he's going to split some numbers with Bouanga, or do you think there's enough of the ball to share?
I think there's enough goals. I think there's enough goals to go around there. I picked Sony for
Okay.
just I didn't think they'd go back to back to back. I think they'd spread the love a little bit and do maybe a little bit marketing in the other side of the world, Jimmy.
That's fair.
Did I say that out loud?
Is there let's say, because we all kind of in agreement with Inter Miami and LAFC, is there one team that maybe could break through the noise a little bit there, Chuck, that has a chance to upset the apple cart with those two?
I mean, we talked about it, right? So you got the potential of Nashville, you got the potential of Vancouver, you got the potential of San Diego.
FC Cincinnati, maybe?
FC Cincinnati. So those are the clubs that I think could challenge. But if you're looking at the roster and what Inter Miami were able to accomplish last year, you'd be foolish to say they're not the front runners to win MLS Cup. They're not the front runners for the Supporters Shield. And Messi's not the front runner for MVP because they literally got the goalkeeper of the year. They strengthened their back line, which we've countlessly said how vulnerable they are. And then they addressed the players that they're missing. And then all of a sudden they added Bertarame. So if you're adding one of the top strikers in Liga MX to your squad, how are they not going to level up, if you will? So, we saw them win Supportership with Tata Martino. Mascherano comes in, and then they realize, okay, Supporter Shield is great, but that's not the trophy we want. We want MLS Cup. And to get that, we need a little bit more squad rotation. By the way, there's a Club World Cup in the summer that we have to participate in. So he did, for me, a terrific job of rotating the team and giving new guys opportunities. Yeah. On top of that, come playoff time, the biggest moment for Inter Miami, he makes a decision to give Silvetti the spot on the field over a Luis Suarez. And that could not have been an easy decision. That couldn't have been an easy conversation. He handled it with class. Suarez handled it with class, at least in the public eye, and they were able to win MLS Cup. So that, for me, shows they're ready to take that next step.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty sick. Did you say who's your MVP, Chuck?
Messi.
Okay, so you got Messi, Son, Messi. Everybody can get a look at that. Just looking, actually, I looked at LAFC's midfield. They're projected. I mean, you got Delgado, Stacchio, and Tillman. It's a really good midfield. Then you got Bouanga, Son, and David Martinez on the right, who I still think is on the precipice of even having bigger seasons than he's had in the past. So yeah, they're really good. LAFC is going to be really good, and that's why I have him as my supporter shield. All right, next four. We got Golden Boot, top scoring American, newcomer of the year, and young player of the year. Going to our resident number 9, Charlie Davies. Who's your Golden Boot winner and top? Just do one at a time. Golden Boot winner.
Bertarame. Golden Boot. Okay.
He's just going to get so many dimes from Messi. It's going to be pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, depending if they don't manage Messi's minutes right throughout the year.
That's true. They got a World Cup to balance. That goes for a few
top scoring
good.
American. I'm going to go with Diego Luna.
Diego Luna. Whoa.
How many goals did he have last year?
Just do one at a time, Chuck. We got to get to Golden Boot for me was also Germán Bertarame. Yes. So I'll take him because he's going to get a dunk on that. What do you got, Golden Boot?
I went Son as the Golden Boot.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I just feel like he's going to split goals with Bouanga ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, look what he did last year in his time here, and they were splitting goals, right? They were finding a way. But if you're only 2 that score on the team, then you're gonna have half the goals, right?
Yeah. All right, top scoring American, Chuck. You're ready to go on that?
I said Diego Luna.
Oh, Diego Luna. That's right.
Like Tony said, he's the goal scorer for that team. Everything kind of is on his shoulders. Plus, he's motivated.
How many did he have from last year, Diego Luna?
Did he get to 10? I thought he had.
I don't know, man.
I thought he had 8. He had 8 goals. I thought for sure, like 8 and 8. That's what I thought we talked about in the past.
Yeah, it could be.
Who's your top scoring American?
I went Brian White. I looked the list last year, and on the first page of MLS, they show about 30 guys. He was like 10th or 11th on the list, and he was the only American anywhere to be seen on the list.
Yeah.
And he had 16 goals last year. So I'm gonna say for that he keeps going in that direction.
I'm with you. I had Brian White as well. If he stays healthy, and that Vancouver team, I think is going to be pretty good. He's going to get a lot of chances. Now, he's not taking pens, so I guess that might change the conversation about who's taking the penalties. I think Thomas Muller will be the guy in Vancouver, but I still think Brian White will be the top scoring American. Newcomer of the year, Big Tones, coming to you.
I went Berterame for me, newcomer of the year in Inter Miami. I think it'll be a home run, smash. He'll be a hit there. I mean, he's going to be so good for that side.
Okay, Chuck, who you got? Going Herman as well?
No, newcomer of the year, James Rodriguez. But
ooh, spicy take.
But
you got to be there the whole year.
One under the radar in this same category is Mbokazi, the center back, South African.
That's my guy. That's who I picked. Yes, Chuck. I love that you're thinking center backs. Oh, I see you over there.
I think that signing, Greg Berhalter, might have slipped that one under the radar.
I mean, he's getting a lot of grief, including from his national team manager in South Africa. Like, you could have gone to Europe. Why to go to MLS? He's like, this Chicago's where I want to be. This is where I want to be. I think this is the right next step in my career. He's got a ton of confidence in himself. Mbokazi, I think, is going to be absolutely sick for Chicago, and they can shore up their defense a little bit. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. So, hey, great minds think alike, Chuck. I like where you're at. Okay. Young player of the year. Who are you going with, Chuck?
Brooklyn Reigns.
I knew you were going to go with somebody from the Revs. You knew that he was going to go Revs.
No, you didn't. Absolutely. By the way,
he's good. No, he's a baller. He's a baller.
Did you not watch him play? Okay.
I watched him, and I'm a fan. I'm just saying, New England Revolution alert.
Jimmy, I went Xavier Gozo from Real Salt Lake, kid we saw in the 20s. I think he could be a future superstar. I don't think he's long for MLS. I don't think he's going to make it through the MLS season. I'm surprised they kept him. We talked about it today on Morning Footy. I loved what I saw in the U20s. I love what I saw from him, and I think he'll be part of national team camps after the World Cup for the next cycle.
All right. I like that shout. I like both of those shouts. I'm going Owen Wolff, though. I thought that Owen Wolff, every time I watched him play, we saw him play in person, too, at the Open Cup final. I mean, it seems like he's ready to be the guy, take on the responsibility. He continues to grow in that space and obviously did it scoring goals, setting up goals. I think he's really honest on the defensive side of the ball, which I appreciate about his game. Now, when you add Facundo Torres, who's coming back into the league after being very successful with Orlando City, and then with a healthy Brandon Vasquez at some point getting back up to 100, I just think it's going to make him even more dynamic, and I think his numbers will be even bigger. So I'm giving Owen Wolff a shout out there. Let's get into our next 4 awards. We got Defender of the Year, Goalkeeper of the Year, Breakout Player, and Biggest Summer Signing. I am going to go first with Defender of the Year. He's another youngster. Mbokazi, he could be in the conversation. He will be in the conversation. But I'm going with Manudua, the young center back from San Diego FC. I just think that he's got tremendous upside. His story is crazy. He played at UC Santa Barbara for 1 season, only played 14 collegiate games, and then was the #1 draft pick for San Diego FC in the Super Draft. And then once he finally got settled and took over at midseason, they just became an unstoppable force. I thought he was really good and made a big impact, and he's only going to grow from there, and scored his first goal for the club against Pumas.
Great shout. Great shout.
So I like that one. Tones, coming to you. Who's your Defender of the Year?
Yeah, I went Mikael, who's on loan from Palmeiras, who went down to Inter Miami.
Yeah, good solid pick. You're Mikael as well?
You did too? Yeah.
All right, great.
I like the Due shout though, man. I like that.
I guess I don't think he's going to be in the league long. That's what I'll say. So I'm curious to see his upside, his growth. You know how some players, you can see it. We went through it ourselves. Like, what's that one season you took your biggest step, you know? And I feel like he continues to take these big steps. So I'm very curious to see how he does in year 2 in MLS and with San Diego FC. All right, Goalkeeper of the Year, Tones, rolling out the red carpet for you. Who's the Goalkeeper of the Year for you?
I went Matt Freese, a World Cup year. Kind of feeling it right now. I was trying to look around the league for somebody else, but I just think in this moment with what's ahead of him, he's going to be hyper focused, and I think Matt Freese wins it.
Okay, Chuck.
I'm gonna go with Matt Turner
I knew
because
it coming.
I was just kidding. I knew Jimmy would go for it. I knew it. No, I'm going repeat. Dane St. Clair. You go to Inter Miami. He's used to a Minnesota side that bunkered in, brutal to watch. Now he's going to be tested. But to Tones' point, you got a World Cup that's in front of you. You got to come up big. You can't let down, this club. You can't let down Messi. I just think it'll force him to grow, and he'll repeat as goalkeeper of the year.
Okay. I appreciate that shout. I'm going to go with the only 3-time MLS goalkeeper of the year winner, Andre Blake. I believe he only played 20 games last year. Philadelphia had the best defense. I know they lost a couple pieces, but I think Philly has done a nice job establishing an identity, especially on the defensive side of the ball under Bradley Carnell. And I think that with a healthy season, Andre Blake could be back in the conversation. So I'm going to go with a tried and true professional who knows how to make big saves in big games. All right, breakout player. Chuck, coming to you. Who's going to break out this year in MLS?
So it's literally between these two players, under 17 U.S. internationals, but Jude Terry at LAFC. We saw him at the U17 World Cup. He's a phenomenal player. He's gifted. Or it's Kevin Sullivan. It's one of those two young Americans who are going to get time and show that they can perform in Major League Soccer. So I went with Jude Terry just because I wanted to go with a young, up and coming rising star that's an American player. So that's who I went with.
Yeah, I love that. Tones, how about you?
Yeah, I was trying to make my case for Kevin Sullivan. I want to see him play though, right? Like I don't know that Bradley Carnell has faith in him yet still, right? I want to see him play minutes. So I used the easy one. I used him before, Gozo. I think Gozo just takes the next step to becoming, sort of a guy that's really coveted in Europe as a young player.
Yeah, he's the out-and-out number 9 for Real Salt Lake this season. So, yeah, I agree with you. It'll be fun to see his development. Kevin Sullivan did have an assist last night in the Concacaf Champions Cup, so we'll see how many more minutes he gets as the season progresses. I'm going with the San Jose Earthquakes youngster, Nico Chikeris. San Jose has not made any moves for this area of the field. No Joseph Martinez. No, they lost Christian Espinoza. Chicho Arango is on the move. They brought in Timo Werner, and they've really entrusted and giving the keys to the midfield to Nico Chikeris. He'll be partnered with Bo LaRue, who I thought had a breakout season last year, who's only going to grow, and I think that'll be a nice partnership in that area. But I think Nico could be getting a lot of assists this year if Timo Werner can find his goal-scoring boots. And to get that trust, of course, from Bruce Arena, I think is a big deal. So we'll curious to see how Nico does with that responsibility. All right, biggest summer signing. Like this is like projecting a little bit. Which big name do you think is going to come over and make a splash in MLS? Tones, coming to you first.
Yeah, I texted producer Des. I said, it's like picking a needle in a haystack, right? When I saw it, I gave James Rodriguez. I'm like, this could be the biggest. But I went, this is kind of pie in the sky, but I went Robert Lewandowski to the Chicago Fire.
I love that one. I believe that's the one that I think will happen. If I remember what I wrote to you, Des. So I think we'll have, because he's free. He'll be out of contract in the summer from Barcelona, and there's a nice Polish history for the Chicago Fire. So I feel like that could be a nice destination for him. And then, but my hopeful one is Mo Salah to San Diego FC, since San Diego is owned by the Egyptian billionaire. So I think maybe he could. San Diego too. I mean, if you're going to go feel, your last couple of years of your career, you could do worse than chilling in San Diego scoring goals there. Chuck, what about you? I had a pie in the sky one, but I actually think Lewandowski is going to happen. Big Tones.
Yeah, I went Antoine Griezmann.
Ooh, to where? To where? Miami. That's the only place he wants to go. So they have to create another DP.
No. I was also talking about this with Des. He loves the NBA, and he comes to Boston quite often because of his contract with Puma. So he comes to Boston, goes to a lot of Celtics games. I've seen him at Knicks games. We've seen him in LA. So I could see him at a number of places. I wouldn't necessarily tie it to one club, but I think Antoine Griezmann will come to MLS, and I think it'll happen this summer.
Wow. You're saying potentially Boston?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes.
That would
Like
be
the
a
NBA,
great
isn't
signing.
the Minnesota
Great
Thunder?
signing.
Aren't they good? Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota?
Yeah.
You say
Respawned-
Minnesota Thunder?
Yeah, that's what
Minnesota,
Buzz
what
Lagos
are
is
they?
coaching the team.
Yeah,
Timberwolves. The
Timberwolves. I
Timberwolves.
mean,
The
yeah,
Timberwolves, the
Thunder,
T-Wolves.
Thunder. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's it. We're calling it a show. Good luck to all the MLS teams as they start their season this upcoming weekend. We'll obviously be keeping tabs on that. Good luck to any of our players playing abroad this upcoming weekend as well. And we'll see you on the other side of this. Have a great weekend, everybody. We enjoy hanging out with you. Thank you for all your support.
I'm in 4K.
Thanks,
Let's go.
Thanks for coming, Chuck.
Later. Thanks for hanging out with us, Chuck. I want a timeshare.
Cut.
Press it.
Minnesota Thunder is an indoor
Press it.
team, isn't it?
I don't even know. I
Minnesota
don't even-
Thunder.